Okay, now let's see some basic concepts of Google Colab. If you click at this link here, let me click it, and I'm going to send this link to the chat window, right? You may create a new notebook here at File, New Notebook, right? I have just accessed Google Colab and click at File, New Notebook. A new window will be opened with a blank notebook, right? And here you have what is called a Google Colab notebook, right? And here you are able to create your text or code cells, right? Now let's make a quick demonstration, right? And this is a code cell. And we may introduce our Python commands or your Linux commands in these code cells. Let me just make some examples, right? First of all, I'm just going to create a text cell. Clicking here, or moving the mouse here and clicking at text. Double click or enter to edit. And if I give a double click and insert, for example, this is a demonstration. Make it bold and make it a title. Leave the cell. We have just created a text cell in Google Colab. So I can write here instructions for how to run the scripts, or another functionality of this web page is that you may share your notebooks with other colleagues. So you may develop scripts together. That's why it's called Google Collaboratory. So you may write here instructions, right? This is a text instruction, for example. You may also upload images to your instructions. So this is a text cell, and this is a code cell. And I can introduce Python commands like print, hello, welcome to the GNCA training for Eastern Caribbean states. And if I execute this code cell by clicking at the play button, you'll see in the output the result of this command, right? Here it is. Hello, welcome to the GNCA training for Eastern Caribbean states, right? If I have anything wrong in my cell, and I execute it, I will see an error, right? This is an error, right? This name is not defined. Okay, so if you have any errors, the output will say you have an error. Let me execute it again, right? Welcome to the GNCA training for Eastern Caribbean states. I can also add, let me add another code cell, and I can add variables like A is equal to 2, B is equal to 3, and C is equal to A plus B. And print the result, print C is equal to C, right? So in the output, I'll have and this is let me see what I have done wrong. Oh, I forgot a comma here. Let me execute it again. So C is equal to 5. So these are Python commands, right? Let me make another demonstration with Python. Now I'm going to create another code cell and retrieve the current date, right? From datetime, import date. I'm just importing the date module of the datetime library, which greatly facilitates dealing with dates. And you don't need to understand this. This is just for demonstration purposes, okay? So today is equal to date dot today. Print today's date, comma, today. And you see here, today's date is May 3rd, 2023. So these are Python code cells, okay? And now I'm going to create another code cell. And just remember that you don't need to have a single instruction in a cell. You may have everything in a single cell. Let me just paste this here, here, and here, and delete this cell and this cell, and execute the first cell. You see everything in a single output. Hello, welcome to the training. C is equal to 5, and today's date, May 3rd, 2023. Okay, so as you see, this is an excellent tool to learn Python and create your products and research and test new things, because as you saw, we don't need to install anything. I just have a Gmail account. I have access to this link in the chat box and created a new notebook and started programming right away, right? Apart from Python commands, I can have Linux commands. So for example, if I want to check the disk space of this virtual machine provided by Google, I can use the df age. And all the Linux commands start with an exclamation mark, okay? So here we can see that we have approximately 100 gigabytes of space in this virtual machine, right? If you want, for example, to check the total memory available, the run memory available, we can use another Linux command. And you see that we have approximately 13 gigabyte RAM in this virtual machine, which is very nice. We have some machines here at my division which much less than that, doing some important things. If we would like to check the processor, we can use another Linux command. And here you may see that we have a couple of AMD processors, sorry, Intel Xeon processors running at 2.2 gigahertz, right? In this case, okay? And if you want to see a operating system that is installed in this virtual machine, we can use some other Linux commands. And you see that we have Ubuntu 20.04.5. And if you want to know the Python version that is installed in this machine, this is it, Python 3.10.11. So this is just a quick demonstration for you to understand the basic concepts of Google Colab. And this is a perfect tool to get started with Python. Okay. I can change the name of my notebook here. For example, my notebook. And if I go to my Google Drive, there's a folder called Colab Notebooks, and you have my drive, Colab Notebooks, and you have all the notebooks created by you or by your colleagues with your research or your processing or your development, okay? So this is an excellent tool to start programming with Python. The good news is that you don't need to create a Colab notebook from scratch during this training. Let me go back to my slide. I have already created them for you. So you just need to create a copy of these notebooks, run the code, and see the results. And when you feel comfortable, you may also make some changes to the scripts and see how they affect the resulting plots. okay? We have 4 example Colab notebooks listed in the Moodle page. And during this training, we will explore 3 of them. This one with GoalsR data processing, this one with NWP data processing, and this one with general data processing. We will not explore this one with Ocean examples, but the notebook is also available in Moodle if you want to take a look in the future, right? And with these 4 notebooks, we have almost 100 example scripts, right? Ready to run, just for you to check, test, and change it according to your needs. And if you want to process anything locally in your machine, you have the procedure, and you may use these examples as a reference for you to create a script to run in your local workstations, okay? And before we start exploring our first notebook with GoalsR examples, here are some basic instructions, okay? The first thing you need to do when accessing example notebook, as I'm going to share with you, you need to create a copy of this notebook in your OneDrive. So if you do not create a copy, we will be able to run scripts, but we will not be able to make changes and save your changes. So creating a copy is very important. And you just need to click at File, Save a Copy in My Drive, right? In the upper left here. Also, to run any specific cell, you just need to click on the play button in the upper left of each cell. And if you run multiple cells at the same time, the system will wait for that particular cell to be completed in a sequence, right? Another nice shortcut for you to execute cells is Control and Enter. So you don't need to click at the play button. You just need to select the cell, click Enter and Control, and it will execute the cell, right? And here I would like to make a pause and ask you that please make a copy of this notebook that I'm going to send in the chat window. Let me just open it here. I'm going to copy it, send it in the chat box. And I want you to open this notebook as we are seeing here and click at File, create a copy in My Drive. By doing that, this notebook will be copied to your drives, and you will be able, during this training, to edit it, make modifications, and save it the way you want, and add cells, text cells, and make any addition you want, right? I already did that. And if you see here, I have the same notebook, but I have created a copy, and I have called it simply Diego _ and the original name of the notebook, okay? Let me just go back to my slides. And why that's important? Because it takes some minutes to install the required libraries in your notebook and download the ancillary data. And if you run cells now, when we start the hands-on, your notebook will be ready. Okay? So just to repeat, you need to open this link that I have sent on the chat box, click at File, save a copy in Drive. This notebook will be copied to your Google Drives. You may change its name, like I have done here, right? Diego, etc. And after you have done that, please run steps number 2, which will install the required libraries And please run step number 3, which will download ancillary files. It will take, 5 minutes, more or less, until you see this symbol here, a check mark, a green check mark, saying that a particular cell has been executed successfully. Okay? If you do it now, when I start making the demonstrations, you will be able to follow the same steps using your own notebooks. If you have any questions until this point, if you have any questions, please send your questions in the chat box. And if not, we will continue with the hands-on activity. Okay, I don't see any questions. Let's keep introducing Google Colab before we start processing OSR imagery. In order to create code cells or text cells with images or instructions, for example, and you just need to create a text cell or a code cell. Also, another option is to move the mouse cursor between 2 cells, and a couple of buttons will appear where you may create buttons or code cells, sorry, right? So this is how you create code cells and text cells. Another interesting thing is that you have code cells here or text cells here, right? And as I said, in the code cells, you may have Python commands or Linux commands. The Linux commands start with an exclamation mark like this, 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 and this, this, and this. All the other commands are Python commands. Okay. Also, on the left side, you may click here at these lines, and you will see the table of contents. So you may jump a particular session of the notebook, right, to make things faster. Okay. Another detail is that this is a code cell output, which displays you texts or images that you have generated. And if you need to clear all the outputs, someone has asked, what are the equivalent commands for Windows? I'm not sure, however, you mean running this locally? Because on Google Colab, you only have the possibility to run a Linux virtual machine. For Windows, I'm not sure. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Eugene, for your question. If you want to clear all the outputs, you just may click at Edit and clear all the outputs. Right. It's also possible to reset the Python variables by clicking at runtime, restart runtime. This will reset all the variables, but will keep the libraries, okay? But if you want to completely reset the virtual machine, you just need to click at Connect, delete runtime. This will reset the variables and uninstall all the libraries you have installed. We will not use these 2 commands during the course, but this could be very useful for you in the future when making your research or developing a new product for your medicines. As I said, this is a great tool for learning, testing and developing new things. But when you need to generate products operationally, you need to have all the tools installed in your workstation. And that's why we will see both possibilities during this training. And to finish, the Colab virtual machine, there is a working directory called content. And this is where your data will be downloaded and your plot will be stored and so on. And on the left panel of the Google Colab interface, you may see the list of files and directories of the Linux virtual machine, right? So the working directory in Google Colab is content. If you try local procedure, in the tutorial, I have used C, VLAN, Python, and goes. And here I have all the scripts and utilities for running the script locally as it is described in the local procedure available in Moodle, right? So executing script locally, as we have done here, or executing scripts directly in the cloud. Okay,